What's up everyone? In this video, I'm going to show you how I built all the deadlift platforms here at Untamed Strength and how I made these sweet logos on each of the platforms. These deadlift platforms have got plenty of use, but they're still holding strong. Purchasing brand new deadlift or Olympic lifting platforms can be very expensive. It's easy to make your own and it's only a fraction of the price. Notice that I'm calling these deadlift platforms and not Olympic lifting platforms. These are 4 feet wide by 8 feet long. An Olympic lifting platform is usually 8 feet long by 8 feet wide. These have just enough room for deadlifting. If you plan on Olympic lifting, there's not enough room on these platforms to chase a snatch, and your back foot might slip off if you're doing a split jerk. There are a few reasons why you should have a deadlift platform. The first reason being, it takes some of the stress off your plates and off your barbell that's caused by repeatedly dropping the weight on a concrete floor, even if you have a thin rubber mat underneath. The main reason for a deadlift platform is to protect the concrete underneath you. Now, I suppose if you're deadlifting with rubber bumper plates, a standard 4x6 foot rubber horse stall mat will do you just fine. However, if you ever plan on deadlifting more than 405, you're going to need to buy some iron plates. Now, some of you might be thinking, what if I just stack a bunch of horse stall mats on top of each other and deadlift off that? Again, that could work if you're not very strong, but if you're deadlifting over 315 pounds, that weight is going to bounce up and down every time you complete a rep. For our stone load area, you'll notice that we stacked a bunch of 3/4 inch 4x6 horse stall mats to prevent the concrete from cracking. And if we drop the stones right onto the mats, the stones will bounce a couple feet in the air. So we actually have to put foam down to cushion the fall. And lastly, I love having deadlift platforms because as a gym owner, it assigns designated areas to deadlift. I don't want people deadlifting in between squat racks or in squat racks. I don't want anyone deadlifting right where someone's trying to bench press. It's very clear that I want you to deadlift here, 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 and here. It's a great way to control the chaos when the gym is really busy. So here's a list of everything you'll need to build one 4 foot by 8 foot deadlift platform. You'll need 3 4 foot by 8 foot, 3/4 inch thick sheets of plywood. Have one of the 4x8 sheets of plywood cut in half so you have 2 4 by 4 foot pieces. Home Depot or Lowe's will usually do this for free. You're gonna find that some plywood costs $20 and some plywood costs $40, $50, or even $60. At least here in California. I'm not sure what the price of plywood is across the world. I would highly suggest you purchase the more expensive plywood for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, cheap plywood is almost always warped. It's going to be difficult to fit 2 warped pieces of plywood together, but more importantly, your deadlift platform is not going to lay flat on the ground. It's going to rock side to side, front to back, or corner to corner. This will cause your barbell to roll around, or if there's a bowed edge sticking up off the ground, every time you drop the weight, that platform is going to smack against the concrete floor and amplify the noise. When I made my first platforms, I listened to everyone on the internet who said, just buy the cheapest plywood you can find and put that at the bottom because it doesn't really matter. Now, some of the first platforms I made have a bowed edge and I had to slide a thin piece of rubber mat underneath so that it doesn't smack on the ground. The barbell always rolls around on the platform and it never settles because the platform isn't flat. Another reason you should buy expensive plywood is because cheap plywood always contains knots. You cannot drill through a knot. Expensive plywood will be knot free. And reason number 3 why you should buy expensive plywood, least importantly, it looks the best. In the end, you can purchase whatever plywood you want. You're not gonna hurt my feelings, but don't say I didn't warn you. Next, you'll need one 4 foot by 6 foot, 3/4 inch thick rubber horse stall mat purchased at Tractor Supply Co. or any equestrian or farm supply store. Wood glue, 1 1/4 inch wood screws, coarse thread, washers, a drill with drill bits, utility knife, wood stain, polyurethane clear coat, spray paint for your logo, more on this later, a gold or gray Sharpie, a roll of painter's tape, and a Monster energy drink. Step 1. Glue 2 of the 4 foot by 8 foot platforms together. If you're working on a large workbench, you could use clamps to squeeze them together while the glue dries. If you're making them on your garage floor, just put some 45-pound plates on top. Let this dry overnight or for 8 hours. Step number 2, pre-drill your holes. Each corner, halfway on each side, and 1/4 of the way. Finally, 4 in the middle. Pre-drilling your holes will ensure the wood screws go in straight, and it will prevent the wood from cracking. Don't pre-drill your holes straight through to the other side. It's just a pilot hole to guide your screw in. It's not a tunnel. The diameter of your drill bit should be smaller than the screw itself. Step number 3, drill your screws. Step number 4, glue your 4 foot by 4 foot piece of plywood in the middle. There should be 2 feet on each side. Let that dry overnight or for a minimum of 8 hours. Step number 5, pre-drill your holes. Step number 6, drill your screws. Step number 7, cut 2 2 foot by 4 foot pieces off of your 3/4 inch horse stall mats. I would suggest cutting on the outsides so that you have at least one straight edge if your cut job is not perfect. These things can be a pain to cut, so here's how I do it. Using a silver or gold Sharpie, I draw a line down the mat. Place some sort of cylinder object underneath the line. I'm using a PVC pipe foam roller. This will let the sides of the mat hang, which will make it easier to cut. Using a utility knife, trace over the line one section at a time until you pierce all the way through. Step number 8, glue the mats down on each side using wood glue or some sort of high-grade adhesive. Let that dry overnight. Step number 9, drill your mats down. Be mindful of the screws below. Make sure you use washers because the screws will go straight through the rubber mats without one. No need to pre-drill your holes. Now, let me show you how I put my logo on these platforms. It's time consuming and you have to be a bit artistic to make it work, but it's definitely worth the effort. First, figure out how big you want your logo. This logo is a little wider than 3 feet and it's 2 feet tall. Go to Kinko's or Office Depot and have them print a large black and white image that fits within the 4 foot by 4 foot wood on your platform. Please note, the more colors you decide to use, the more complicated this process will be. Cover the entire wood area on top of the platform with strips of blue painter's tape. Tape your image flat on the platform with painter's tape or masking tape. Now I'm going to explain exactly how I made the Untamed Strength logo. First, I cut off the red parts of the image, the letters, his shorts, and his feet. I'm going to use permanent marker for demonstration only. Do not use marker on your platform. The ink leaks into the wood. You'll see when I take the tape off. Now I sprayed the bare wood with multi-purpose spray paint. Be sure to spray multiple light coats. Do not spray one heavy puddle. Once you have done 2 to 3 coats of your first color and it is completely dried, carefully and precisely cover the painted areas with the painter's tape. Now cut the areas for the second color and repeat the same process. Once all of the spray paint is dry, you can remove the image. Lastly, I would suggest laying down a couple of layers of wood stain with a paintbrush. I used a natural wood stain for my platforms, but you can use golden oak, darker maple, or even a really dark mahogany if you don't want a logo on your platform. The wood stain just makes the wood look a bit better. After the wood stain dries, you need to lay down a couple coats of polyurethane clear coat. This protects the wood from wearing away and splintering. It also protects the wood from the moisture in the air and the sweat drops that fall off your face. Because these platforms are used in a gym atmosphere, there have been people who have bled on these platforms. Since they have clear coat over them, we can wipe off the blood or the sweat with a disinfectant wipe. Bare wood would have just soaked up the blood. Pretty metal, I know, but not very sanitary. So, here's my poorly executed, scaled down demonstration of how I put the Untamed Strength logo on these platforms. Again, the logo, the wood stain, and the clear coat is completely optional. Thanks for watching, and always remember, tread on time.